I will encourage every person that is at the reach of my voice, be humble. Well, my wife, you don't know my husband. Well, you are here. The word then is for you, be humble. You are here, therefore the word is for you, be humble. One day I was talking to my dad, and I don't know what I said, but I used some word. My dad goes, what does that mean? I go, what does what mean? He goes, that word you just used, what does it mean? And I'm like, I don't know. He goes, well, you don't know, don't use it. Right? If you can't define it, don't use it. I go, well, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. I know how to use it, right? Now, what is love? What is love? This is love. Like, I mean, I don't know how to define love. I'm not, the Greek and, all this stuff. I wouldn't be able to write my wife a poem of, oh, how I love thee type of, like I'm not, that type of flow. But I know it when I see it, right? And the scripture here teaches us how we can recognize it when we see it, okay? First of all, love has loneliness, it has humility to it, right? Love is humble. True love is humble, putting others ahead of oneself. It does not seek the self-promotion or pride, but focuses on serving others, right? True love focuses on putting the other person before themselves, right? True love, let me tell you, you want a good, godly marriage. You want a marriage that at the end of the year, I'm gonna give you a certificate and I'm gonna say, congratulations, you won, marriage of the year. You want that type of marriage. You wanna be that type of husband, that type of wife. Put Jesus first and put your spouse second, right? And then put yourself like number 9 or 10 down the list, right? Put your spouse before you. Put your wife before you. Put your husband before you. The vast majority of the problems, and I'm going to say we, right, have in our marriages is linked to pride, right? What is pride? Pride is putting me first, right? Pride is putting me first. Loneliness, humbleness is putting my spouse first. What is adultery? When someone commits adultery, when a husband commits adultery and he goes to seek something outside of his marriage, what is he doing? Who's he putting first? Is he putting his wife first or he's putting himself first? He's putting himself first. Right? When a woman commits adultery, because women commit adultery just like men do, when a woman commits adultery, what is she doing? She is putting herself first before her kids, before her husband, before her marriage. Right? That is pride, to put yourself first. When you see a couple that constantly, they're always bickering, they're always arguing, and it's always, notice that it starts right here. It starts with a little pique, like the pico, like I poke the bear, and you poke the bear, and I poke the bear, and you poke the bear, and I poke the bear, and you poke the bear, and I poke the bear, and you poke the bear, and I punch the bear, and you see how it elevates? What is that? All of that is linked to pride. Why? Because at any point, the husband or the wife could say, I'm not gonna poke the bear. I'm not gonna poke the bear. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna take responsibility. Because we all contribute to poking the bear. Right? We all contribute to what is going on. Pride is that no, I have to have the last word. And believe me, I'm very prideful. My wife will tell you, I always have to have the last word. No, I have to prove my point. No, I have to explain why, right? See, all of that is pride. And in love, we're humble. Like, in love is like, you know what? I don't always have to have the last word. I don't have to explain every little thing. Sometimes I just need to say, you know what? I royally screwed up. And I'm gonna do everything I can to fix it. And I will tell you this, that will never happen again. Right? See, that's humbleness. Right? And let me tell you, I will encourage every person that is at the reach of my voice, be humble. Well, my wife, you don't know my husband. Well, you are here. The word then is for you, be humble. Right? You are here, therefore the word is for you, be humble. With all loneliness and gentleness. What is gentleness? Gentleness, meekness. Meekness. You know what meekness is? Meekness is like getting on a wild horse. It's a lot of power. It's dangerous. Meekness is getting on a tame horse. It's the same power, same energy, same horse, but it's bridled. It's controlled. It's useful. It's helpful. Right? It helps work. It helps get something. So gentleness, meekness. Love expresses itself through gentleness, responding with kindness rather than harshness, even in difficult situations. That's where the key is at. How do you respond in a difficult situation? How do you respond in a difficult situation? Years ago, I read a paragraph by this author named Seth Godin. And man, I looked for it a couple of days ago, couldn't find it. But anyways, in this, it was just a paragraph he wrote, and was so impactful on me because he said something like, like when you're hurt, when you're angry, when you're depressed, when you're tired, when you're weak, when you have an opportunity for vengeance, when no one is looking, that's where we show the real you. That's where we show who we really are. And in those moments, God calls us to gentleness, to meekness, right? That in those difficult situations, in those difficult moments where you want to punch, where you want to kick, where you want to fight, instead to respond with gentleness, to respond with love. Right? Long suffering. What is long suffering? That's patience. Right? Patience. Love is patient, enduring the shortcomings of others and allowing time for growth and change without frustration or anger. This is hard. Right? We lose our patience with our daughters all the time. All the time we lose our patience with our daughters. Nayeli sometimes has to tell me, hey, cálmate. Sometimes I have to tell her, hey, cálmate. Right? When it comes to our kids. 6, 4, 2, and 11 months. Right? Not the 11-month-old, she's too cute. But I will tell you, that 2.5-year-old, they don't call it terrible twos for nothing. And the other day, yesterday, I was like, buckle up, buckle up, buckle up, buckle up. I'm like, I'm gonna get down, buckle up. And then I had to get down, climb to the back seat, and I'm like, por la buena, por la mala, buckle up. No. To use my jujitsu, push up against the seat and buckle her in. You know? Patience. She's still learning. She's still maturing. Right? Who here is perfect? Last service, I had one. Una que era perfecta. No, that's her name. Perfecta Tello. That's her name. She's perfect in name only, not in anything else, right? Bear with me. Give me 10 minutes more than normal, all right? I promise that's her name. And no, nobody. Okay, we're all growing. We're all growing. Guess what? Your husband is growing too. Your wife is growing too. The person sitting on the same bench as you, or behind you, or in front of you, we're all growing too. I'm growing. Like I don't know it all. I don't live it all. I struggle with a lot. My wife is here. I'm surprised she's not saying amen, speaking in tongues. Like, we're all growing. God is working in our lives. Remember, there's salvation the day we got saved, but then there's salvation, which is today, what we're living. We're growing. And we're reaching the day of salvation where we will be presented before God, glorified before God. Right? And so God is working in us. And these are things that need to, if none of this is rubbing you the wrong way, man, you got issues. If you're not looking at any of this and being like, man, I need to work on that, you need to get in prayer. You need to start fasting. You need to go on a spiritual journey. If you don't realize that God is speaking to you today about being in loneliness, humility, gentleness, meekness, long-suffering, and then this last one, bearing with one another. Bearing with one another in love. Love bears with the faults and imperfections of others, offering grace and understanding in relationships, knowing that no one is perfect. Let me read that again because I'm speaking to myself. Love bears with the faults and imperfections of others, offering grace and understanding in relationships, knowing that no one is perfect. I always get a kick of when I'm driving and someone honks at me because I make a mistake, like I got in their lane, or I didn't take off as soon as the light turned green, whatever. I always laugh at people who honk at me. I'm like, yeah, I bet that guy's never had a ticket in his life, right? Oh yeah, I bet that guy always goes the speed limit, like muy santo, like that. No. Bearing with one another is just having that understanding that, you know what? I'm not perfect. La hermana perfecta Tello isn't perfect either, right? Just her name. My husband's not perfect. My wife's not perfect. My pastor's definitely not perfect. But I'm gonna still walk in unity. I'm gonna still walk in unity. I'm gonna still walk in love. And I'm gonna go on this journey of growing with my wife. I'm gonna go on this journey of growing with my church and with my pastor, right? Like we're gonna let God do something, right? But if we're gonna split every time something happens, whether marriage or family or the church, every time something happens, every time there's church hurt, every time you're offended in church, you're gonna split. Like, man, it's hard to grow. It's hard to grow. 99% of us here, we're out of shape, physically speaking. All right, 99% of that. Some of you guys, man, I shake y'all's hands. I'm like, dang, this boy hitting the gym, right? Other of you guys, I shake your hands. I'm like, hey, this boy getting fluffy. Why 99% of us are out of shape? Why? I'm going to tell you why. None of us like the discomfort of waking up at 5 a.m. to hit the gym. None of us like the discomfort of going every day to do exercise as opposed to eating una torta de carne asada, right, con aguacate. Right? None of us like the discomfort that comes from the burn, pumping iron, and then standing in front of the mirror 5 minutes later and not seeing a result. None of us like the discomfort that these things take months, time, years. Rome wasn't built in a day, neither was your body. You didn't reach the out of shape that you are in 3 weeks. Therefore, you're not going to get in shape in 3 weeks. It took years for me to have this dad bod, which I'm very proud of, by the way. No, I'm not. Right? So it takes a time. It takes a time of consistency over time to reach maturity, to reach strength. Well, this is the same thing. Like all the stuff we go through. Excuse my French, but all the crap we go through, all the struggles we go through, like God is using that to mature us. Don't put yourself in that crap. Don't put yourself in those things, right? But understand that when you and your wife are going through something, or you in the church is going through something, like it's an opportunity for God to do something, right? Let God do something.